What's up guys, Mike here with Card Juice Sports Cards. So it has been 1 year since I bought my first sports card collection on eBay to flip for profit. So today I want to jump into some of the lessons I learned as a sports card flipper in the first year. So let's jump right in. Before we do, if you want to unlock the secrets of selling and investing in low-end sports cards on eBay, this channel is your go-to source for expert tips, honest insights, and strategies to help boost your eBay sales. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me to stay ahead in the card selling game, maximize your profits, and take your eBay card selling business to the next level. You can also check out my other channel at Puck Mike, where I open and talk about hockey cards. And I just launched a weekly podcast called The Puck Mike Show, connecting hockey cards to hockey news, so check it out. All right, so we're gonna talk about 7 things I learned in my first year flipping sports cards. First thing is that flipping sports cards is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Sure, if you're the family that found the box of unopened cards in their basement and sold for a few million at an auction, then I guess that is a get-rich-quick scheme in that case. But that's not gonna happen to most of us. Flipping sports cards for profit and actually making good profit, even if it's just as a little side hustle, is something that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work and a lot of consistent commitment in trying to develop a profitable business model. The reason I brought this up is because I think a lot of people think that flipping sports cards is going to be easy. They might have a case of sports cards that they've been collecting since they've been a kid. They think it's going to make them a ton of money, or they think they can just open a bunch of boxes and list those cards and people are going to buy them. If you think it's going to be easy, you're getting into this with the wrong mindset. And you're not going to last more than 6 months to a year as a reseller in this business. Why? Because you're going to get frustrated with the lack of high dollar sales and high volume sales that don't meet your expectations. Think of it as you're opening a coffee shop. And yes, people are going to buy coffee, people are going to drink coffee. You're not offering anything that people don't already want. You're not trying to sell the market on a new product or concept. It's a good that people already consume and that people already pay for, just like sports cards. But the road that you're opening this coffee shop on has thousands of other coffee shops side by side, all lined up right next to each other, serving in a lot of cases the same exact cup of coffee that you're serving. Now, what makes you think people are going to line up outside your store versus your competitor's store for the exact same cup of coffee? Now, if you're hearing this example and you're getting discouraged, don't be. It's actually a lot of fun growing your business and watching it grow over time and trying to develop what differentiates you in the market. But the main point here is if you don't have the right mindset going into this, you probably won't last as a reseller or flipper in this market. It takes time for your customers to find you. It takes time for the eBay algorithm to learn what you're selling. And if people do or don't like your product based on the feedback algorithm that they've set up, it takes time for people to like you enough to follow your store and have those new items recommended to previous buyers, or new items recommended to new buyers based on similar items recommendations. So be patient and have realistic expectations going into this. Ultimately, you're not trying to flip 1 or 2 cards for profit. You're trying to build a sustainable business model that allows you to keep earning profit, more and more profit as time goes on, even if it's just a little profit or as a side hustle. The second thing I learned in my first year flipping sports cards is to start small. If you've never bought a collection before and you're looking to flip sports cards, don't buy a $1,000 card collection. Now, if your neighbor offers you 1,000 cards for $20, sure, why not? Who knows? There might be a Jordan in there. But starting small allows you to learn what card buyers are paying for and how much they're willing to pay for them. Gaining expertise in the sports card market as a flipper requires a lot of trial and error. And if you come out of the gate with too many cards that you might not know if they're going to sell or not, all of a sudden you could have a ton of inventory that you have a really hard time moving. Every step of my journey, every month, every week, every sale, I've learned something new about the buyers paying for my product. Sometimes you learn, you know what, this product just doesn't sell at all. Other times you thought the product wasn't going to sell, but then it sold when you listed some more popular players from that product. Maybe you realized, you know what, I had my prices too high. Maybe you were charging for shipping and maybe your buyers really want free shipping. All of these things you need to learn for yourself and your own business as a flipper to be successful. Not to mention just setting up your shipping policies and business policies on eBay, which also takes a lot of time to learn what works and what doesn't. I'm still learning it. Starting small allows you to get to the nuts and bolts of what's actually working and see what's actually selling, and then develop your processes so that as your business grows, you have a lot more of your ducks in a row and you can be a lot more organized and start to scale the business more efficiently. I can't tell you how many times as I was listing a card, I said to myself, nobody's gonna buy this one. But I wanted to do it to see if that was actually the case, because sometimes you just don't know. And then somebody bought it, and then somebody bought another card of that player. Now, I didn't go out and buy 1,000 cards of that player to flip, but then other players' cards from that era that I listed were selling as well. So it gave me a little bit more insight into some of the cards my customers were looking for. I know it's hard, guys. You want to come out of the gate swinging, you want to have 50,000 cards right away. Start with 20, 30, 50, 100 100 cards, see how it goes, and then go from there. Okay, number 3, be in it for the long haul. You're gonna see a lot of people, just like I did a couple of minutes ago, talk about scaling your sports card business. A lot of people think that scaling a business means just offering a boatload of product. Scaling a business means that you are setting the stage and paving the way to support long-term growth of your company. It basically means you can grow the company in a sustainable way, so much that your revenue increasingly outpaces your costs. This one honestly is probably the most important point on the list. As a sports card flipper, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just buying, listing, shipping, buying more and more. If I just had one more collection, if I just had this product, I gotta get this other collection, I gotta get these cards listed, and ultimately not really paying to how much you're spending in new inventory against current inventory that is or isn't flying out the door. I'm gonna talk about numbers later, but ultimately you have to have some type of guideline here, or I promise you'll just keep spending money on collections that may or may not sell without any real parameters to help you as you grow. So maybe you've been selling for 6 months, you bought a few collections, made your money back on one, the others are doing okay, but now what? Do you buy another? Put all that money back into the business? How long do you do that for? It's very tempting as a sports card flipper to tell yourself that I need to put more money back into the business in order to scale it. I'm not gonna be profitable yet. I'm gonna put more money back in. I gotta keep putting more money back in. Now, just starting out, you're not gonna make money right away. And you are probably gonna have to put more money in up front and take a loss in order to build up at least some shipping supplies in bulk. But 8 months, a year, 2 years, if all you're doing is taking your profit each month and putting it back into the business just to keep yourself afloat, I'm sorry to tell you, you don't have a scalable business model yet. If you can be profitable, then be profitable. It doesn't mean you have to keep all of your profit, but you don't have to always put all of it right back into the business. Right now, I'm currently taking 20% of my monthly net profits after operating expenses and putting those back into the business. So if I net $100 after paying for all my supplies, shipping, and other costs, then I'm gonna pocket $80 and I'm gonna spend $20 on something else I need for the business. Ideally, that's cards, but if I need supplies, I'll buy those instead. If I wanna have a card graded, maybe I'll do that instead. I wanna try to scale the business from a very low level of income to a very high level of income. I don't wanna be listing 1,000 cards today just to sell 20 of those. That's not a scaled business. That's crazy. I wanna know, if I stick to my 20% reinvestment rule, can I continue to be profitable over time? And if I can, naturally, I'm going to be listing more cards over time and my inventory is going to grow along with my profit. We'll see how it goes. I just tweaked my business model with this new parameter. So far, the numbers are looking good. It's all about tracking your inventory turnover, which I'll talk about later as well. Okay, number 4, selling outside eBay. Know the risks. I don't sell outside eBay, and I've never sold a single card outside of the eBay platform, and I've sold over 1,000 sports cards. In terms of Facebook or Instagram, I'm not gonna sell on those because there's no guaranteed protections. And honestly, I don't have time to go back and forth in negotiations all day long. It takes enough time going back and forth with sellers on eBay responding to different offers. Like it or not, even though it has its flaws, eBay does have systems in place to protect the buyer and the seller. Yeah, there's other sites like Mercari, I think it's called, and some others too. Everybody knows eBay still has the most traffic, even if its fees are kind of outrageous sometimes. I've built my entire store on eBay. I guess I could branch out and try some other sites, but I don't have plans to do that at the moment. Of course, card shows, completely different category here. I haven't done those yet. I'd like to eventually, but you're probably safe to sell at those if you have the goods for it. Ultimately, you have to decide which platform is best for you and go with that. Just evaluate the site's policies and know the risks going into it. Number 5, you don't need a tool. I've said this in a ton of videos and I'll keep touching on this in later videos as well, but you don't need a listing tool to flip sports cards on eBay. Market Movers, Card Dealer Pro, Chrono Card, Card Ladder. You can list and sell a lot of cards without using a single one of these platforms. I have over 2,000 listings in my eBay store, most of which I listed over time on my own. I experimented with Card Dealer Pro 1 and 2 just to get a good idea of the system. Now, if you've eventually reached a point where you're listing 20 or 30 cards a day, again, keeping in the context of trying to have a scalable business model that's efficient and sustainable, then maybe it can be worth it. But again, you have to keep it in the context of being in it for the long haul. If you just want to list a bunch of cards because the more you list, the more you'll sell, that's not always going to be the case, and you're always going to be chasing after your next sale. You want to be listing the right cards to sell, even if it's less cards. If you're in it for the long haul, you can have small daily listing goals to watch your inventory grow over time as you hopefully make more sales. Right now, I'm listing 3 cards a day, 3, and I'm trying to increase my inventory turnover each month. Again, I'm starting small and thinking about the long-term goal to grow something sustainable and profitable. If I make more money and follow my 20% reinvestment rule, goal, eventually I'll buy bigger collections and I'll probably have to increase my 3 cards a day goal, but only if my net profit grows. So my inventory growing is completely dependent on the net profit that I make. So you don't need a tool starting out. You don't even need one in year 1 or year 2. And honestly, if you really want to try and see for yourself, most of these sites have a 1-week free trial. You can go log in, check it out, see if you like it, see if it works for your business. Okay, number 6, know the numbers. This might be the most controversial item on the list. Who else just got real uncomfortable? I track every single card and how much money I make or lose on that card. It's not as bad as it sounds. It's not like I'm sitting there after every single sale going, okay, $2.99 minus the fees, carry the 1. Every collection purchase I make goes into a sheet. Total cost divided by the total cards give you the cost per card. When I go to price an item, I have my fancy calculator that tells me the minimum I can charge in order to still make money on the product. Yeah, it takes work to set this up on the front end. Ultimately, if you don't know what products are making money, you're never going to be able to grow your business to a profitable state for the long term. A lot of resellers don't want to hear this. The reality is most of us don't have a separate bank account for our sports card business. All of our card income is mixed with our other money on PayPal or deposits right into our account from eBay. So it's very easy to think while you're making sales, wow, I have a lot of money coming in. But when you peel back the layers of the card cost, supply cost, shipping, etc., you actually lost money on that sale. I like to know on every single sale I make if I made money or not. Because if I didn't, I want to know why. That's called market research. If it turns out I bought a collection at $2 per card and I'm selling a bunch of them because they're popular players, but they're low-end cards selling for $2 or $3 at best, I'm not making my money back. What good am I doing my store in that case? This is a tedious business that takes a lot of time. If I'm ultimately not making money on my products, why am I selling them? Why am I spending all this time just to lose money? So I definitely think you have to know your numbers. A lot of people track it on a monthly basis, like income and outcome for the month. But again, how do you know if your products are profitable? What if one of your collections had a really good month and the other one didn't? A lot of people disagree with tracking individual card sales because ultimately they just don't want to do it. Let's be real, this hobby is close to our heart, guys, and we sometimes get hurt by the realization that our cards aren't selling or that collection we've been holding on to is worthless. The point of tracking individual card sales is knowing how much you can pay per card when you buy a collection, so that way you can actually make a profit. So if you know most of the cards in the collection are going to sell for $2 or $3, then you need to buy them at a price point that allows you to make a profit when selling those cards. And the only way you know that is to track them in some fashion, the way that I have, and use some type of calculator to factor in eBay fees and shipping. If you think other businesses like a coffee shop doesn't track every single item to know if it's profitable or not, you are sadly mistaken. This is not a new practice. A successful business knows how much it's paying for its product, how much money it's making from each product sale, and if it's not making money, works to find out why and changes course if necessary. Could you imagine if a coffee shop sold 3,000 cups of coffee and had no idea if they were making profit or not? Oh, it's okay, we had more revenue than expenses last month, we're good. But what about the next month? What if you could have actually made profit on those sales, reinvested that money into marketing? Bottom line is, if you're buying a product to resell for profit and you're reselling at a loss, then you're not achieving your goals. The only other thing I'll say about this one is sometimes it's okay to sell some cards at a loss. Think of them as promotional items. Now, I have experience working at a coffee shop, so I'm going to keep using this example, but you just opened, you want to drum up some business, so you offer 10 free cups of coffee to the first 10 customers in the door. Are you making money on those cups of coffee directly? No. But could those people buy other products? Absolutely. And ultimately, the hope is that they'll come back to your store again and spend more money at full price on items where you are actually making a profit and will hopefully be longtime customers of your store. So it's not that you can never sell a card at a loss, but it cannot, I promise you guys, it cannot be the backbone of your business model, or you're not going to be able to scale profitably. And the last thing on the list, don't load up too much inventory. Now, the sports card industry is heavily reliant on what players and products are most popular at any given time. Now, you can't apply what I'm about to say to every product in every sport, because some players, product, and sports do outlive the test of time and are sought after by collectors long after the release of the product. But for the most part, a lot of collectors and even resellers like myself are looking for newer products, whether it's to collect or flip themselves. Usually because when newer products are released, collectors are still putting together different sets in the collection, and resellers might buy certain cards to resell as a lot as well. Think of it as a new iPhone. A lot of people want the new iPhone every time it comes out, even if it's not that much different from the last one. Now, there's some people that are still going to hold on to those older models as long as they can. Some people are even going to buy refurbished or brand brand new older models. But all the hype is around the newer models, so you want to be careful not to load up too much inventory, because over time, that inventory can become stagnant and outdated. All of a sudden, you're left with cards from 5 or 6 years ago that no one is collecting because the player retired or hasn't played well. Now, I think this goes hand in hand with starting small and being in it for the long haul. If you start small, you're going to have older products in your inventory organically as your business grows. Mostly because you're not going to sell 100% of the cards that you buy to resell. So if you stick to smaller collections and again try to find the right cards that people want to buy, you have a better chance of not ending up with a ton of inventory that you might have to sell at a loss someday just to get it out the door. Then you're tying up resources where you could be buying new inventory. Of course, there's players that can stand the test of time, like a Jordan or a Gretzky. Even some vintage products of not so popular players can become more popular over time. But for the most part, be wise about the inventory that you're buying and how much of it you're buying. And if you buy a collection, you don't have to list every single card from that collection. I've had collections that I bought to resell that as much as 100 cards from that collection, I didn't list on eBay because I just didn't think they were going to sell. So just because you buy it doesn't mean you have to list it. Sometimes you buy bigger collections that have some big name players and get a lower cost per card, and then some of the cards in that collection are just junk wax, and that's okay. You also want to take into account your entire inventory as a whole. I like to have a good variety of products in my store. So I actually do have some junk wax in my store on eBay of popular and not so popular players. It's not that there's no market out there or collectors for those products, but usually if they're not the most popular players, there's less of those collectors and more suppliers in the market. So even more of a chance for you to end up with stale inventory. Being a sports card flipper means doing just that, flipping sports cards for profit, and you want to do it as quick as you can and as much as you can. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. These are just some things I learned in my first year as a sports card flipper. Of course, if you want to unlock the secrets of selling and investing in low-end sports cards on eBay, this channel is your go-to source for expert tips, honest insights, and strategies to help boost your eBay sales. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me if you want to stay ahead in the card selling game, maximize your profits, and take your eBay card selling business to the next level. You can also check out my hockey card channel at Puck Mike, where I open and talk about hockey cards. And don't forget, I just launched a weekly podcast called The Puck Mike Show, where I connect hockey cards to hockey news. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.